Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel. This is exactly why XRP exists. That's a direct quote from Paul Barron, a self-proclaimed technologist and a very successful YouTuber. I think his channel, last I looked, I think it had somewhere close to like 1.6 million subscribers. And he happens to be very pro XRP. And I'm going to show you a post where he highlighted um, uh, specifically Ripple's approach as it pertains to XRP as a bridge currency, and also the competition, a competition from the quote unquote bank coins out there. And I'm gonna take this opportunity to share with you an old post, a very old post. It's a proclamation from Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse dating back to 2016. And what he said was going to happen is exactly what's unfolding right now. And it absolutely highlights the necessity for a cryptocurrency like XRP to fulfill the role of bridge currency, which is what it's being used to. It has been adopted for that use case up to this point. And people can bitch and moan that XRP hasn't completely dominated Swift, rendering it completely irrelevant. But frankly, my stance has never been that XRP has to do that in order to be successful, or even that it necessarily would. It's just that XRP will be used where it makes sense, and also given that even though fine, yeah, XRP's been around over 13 years, we're still in the early days of crypto, and it's only, I mean, think about it, it's only within the last year. Really, arguably January, when we got a new president of the United States, that the largest capital market on the planet, the United States, it's been less than a year since this country turned pro crypto, and that's a huge thing that's going to sway people as well, in businesses and institutions. So a lot is yet to unfold, but XRP to this point, absolutely, it's still an obvious early winner of the crypto space. But before going further, I do want to be clear: I do not have a financial background of any kind. I am not offering financial advice, and you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. All right, so here's that post from Paul Barron. He shared this just yesterday, and he wrote, XRP plot twist. Is this what Brad Garlinghouse was working for all along? Every major bank is racing to launch its own stablecoin while Swift pitches neutral rails. The reality? JP Morgan, Bank of America, Citi, Wells, US Consortium stablecoin, ING, Deutsche, Unicredit, plus 6 others, Euro stablecoin by 2026. And then there's a quote, Bank of America CEO, we're ready to launch. That's the quote, we're ready to launch once regulations clear. He says, banks don't want neutral infrastructure, they want control. But here's the kicker: more proprietary systems equals more fragmentation. JPM, Bank of America coin, Eurobank coin. Who bridges the walled gardens? This is exactly why XRP exists. Now, folks, that is spot on. I mean, so unless you're talking about a stable coin that's available on exchanges, that would be a little bit different. And then you can try and do it, but of course it's got to be backed by something. And of course those would be centralized, so it depends on what matters. And then there are always going to be certain regions of the world where if a coin's backed by the dollar, they're not going to want to use it. Or if it's backed by something else for geopolitical reasons, not going to use it. But if you have a neutral asset, a jurisdictionless asset like XRP, there's no reason not to use it. And people, the people that complain about the volatility of XRP are like, why would you use XRP as a bridge currency when it's so volatile? Like, that has always been the most hollow argument to me. XRP settles in 3 seconds. Look at XRP's price now. Look at it 3 seconds later. Has it changed? Almost never. And even then with stablecoins, it's not like stablecoins, there's no risk. Have you seen stablecoins to peg? Because I sure as hell have. Tether, USDC, you name it. They're absolutely stablecoins to peg. And I mean, hell, if you look here on Live Coin Watch right now, USDT Tether, it's over $1. USDC, it's right at $1, but it varies. That's why, like, if you click on one of these, I mean, you can see it's kind of all over the place. And I'm not saying it's extremely volatile. It's always about $1 unless it more notably depegs, which doesn't happen frequently. But it's not like there's zero risk of that. I'm just saying, when something effectively settles in real time, who the hell cares? And so to state that XRP isn't, properly situated to fulfill the role of bridge currency, that's a stupid ass argument. Now, since we do need to connect these walled gardens, which is exactly what's happening with a lot of these banks, XRP makes sense. And I thought this would be a fun, I'm actually recording this Sunday evening. I thought this would be a fun little Sunday evening video. Go down memory lane here because there's this post. This is a little piece written by Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse called The Case Against Bankcoin. And this is published August 24th of 2016, over a year before I had ever even heard of XRP. He's already doing this stuff and figured all this stuff out. And what he argues here, as you'll see, is exactly what Paul Barron's talking about. You have all of these walled gardens, and you need to bridge them. XRP has always been perfectly suited for this. And so now, almost a decade later, it's still true, okay? So here's how Brad Garlinghouse's piece reads. UBS, Deutsche Bank, Santander, and BNY Mellon announced their utility settlement coin, a new digital asset they hope will become the industry standard for blockchain settlements. They expect banks will initially use the coin for post-trade settlement and clearing by early 2018, after they secure blessing from regulators and central banks. While this development signals significant market traction for an institutional use of digital assets, I have to say it's deeply misguided. A bank-issued digital asset can only really efficiently settle between the banks who issued it. Then, two scenarios can play out. Scenario one, all banks around the world put aside competitive and geopolitical differences, adopt the same digital asset, agree on its rules, and harmoniously govern its usage. Fat chance. Scenario two, the more likely scenario, banks not in the issuing group issue their own digital assets with their own sets of rules and governance. And folks, think about that. And it's by the way, so he said that was playing out back. I'm going to go through. I'll come back to his article. But, he said it was playing out back then. It's playing out now in 2025. So, if you're not part of that group issuing whatever the bank coin is, and you issue your own one, well, how do those connect? You know, you need. Where's the trading pair for those two coins, which are competing with one another? Do you see the problem here? That's exactly why you need XRP. It can bridge all of this stuff. And so it doesn't make sense. But so walled gardens are going to exist. They always have, and they're always going to. And some of them will get traction, fine. But because of that, that's just one more reason that XRP is always going to make sense as a bridge currency. There's no doubt to that, right? So then Brad wrote, we're kind of seeing this already. As the Financial Times points out, with Citi's Citicoin and Goldman Sachs's Settle coin, the result would be an even more fragmented currency landscape than what we have today. If banks of different digital asset groups want to settle trades with one another, they'll have to make markets between their unique digital assets or trade between their digital assets and a common fiat currency. What a mess. And so, folks, that's absolutely true. That's what I was getting at. I was like, was there a trading pair for it? You have to create new markets just so you can connect with all this additional fragmentation. They're recreating the same system, but with newer technology by doing this. It's just silly. It just is. And so he writes, Brad continues, he says, the second big problem with the utility settlement coin is it seems it'll be backed by a basket of currencies. Once backed by cash, it's no longer an asset, it's a liability. Trading liabilities then ultimately requires moving cash across borders, recreating today's system, but adding more friction. And folks, that's the part that was always hilarious to me. With them going this route, that's exactly what's happening. You're recreating the same thing that already exists and adding more friction. So even if there are some technical benefits with the speed of the technology, so on and so forth, you still can't escape the fact that you're creating effectively the same thing, because a walled garden is a walled garden is a walled garden, my friends. And so Brad says, we strongly believe banks need an independent digital asset to enable truly efficient settlement, and we believe XRP is best positioned for that role. It goes back to the fundamentals of what makes digital assets unique and special. They're universal currencies, meaning anyone can use them as units of value anywhere in the world. That universality gives digital assets global reach and the ability to settle much faster than traditional assets. And so, folks, that's what I was saying a few minutes ago. XRP is jurisdictionless. There are no geopolitical reasons to not use it. There are geopolitical reasons to not use certain coins that are backed by certain fiat currencies. That's just a fact of life. And so even though there will be no one coin to rule them all for the use case of bridge currency, stablecoins have some level of success. They always will. There's also, just like that's true, it's also true that a coin like XRP is perfectly suited for this. And XRP has gotten adoption. And you can argue that it should have been higher. I don't care. I'm saying it's working and it's going the right direction. So, check back in another 10, 15, 20 years. If it keeps going the right direction, the number's going to be bigger, okay? And then he says compared head to head with other independent digital assets like Bitcoin or Ether, XRP settles the most efficiently cross-border in just seconds. In fact, we've run tests with global banks to prove XRP can lower liquidity costs for cross-border trades. More to come on that front. And so, folks, at the time, XRP was not live with Ripple's technology being used as a bridge currency. In fact, if memory serves, the True Pilot program, I don't think that technically launched. I want to say it might have been like October of 2017. I'd have to Google it, so I could be off. But I think that's correct anyway. It's just been a while since I thought about it. And then it wasn't until October of 2018 that XRapid went live, which was ultimately rebranded to on-demand liquidity and then rebranded again ultimately to just Ripple payments. But XRapid, yeah, that's with XRP being used as a bridge currency. So it's been live for 7 years now. And so again, you could bitch and moan about, if you want to, about the degree to which it's been adopted with Ripple technology as a bridge currency, but it's going the right way, isn't it? And even if stablecoins win, Ripple can then use RLUSD, which requires XRP on the XRP blockchain, so XRP still wins. Okay, like either way, if stablecoins are going to be used, and even if all the naysayers about XRP were correct, XRP still wins, and they never seem to acknowledge that point. XRP wins no matter what, unless you think Ripple, the company, fails. But that would be a silly expectation at this point. I think it's safe to say. So anyway, I just think it's cool stuff. Little walk down memory lane on a Sunday evening. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.